Welcome to Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths, where you can either die with the lie or
the truth will set you free.
And I am the Alex E. Miller, and that lovely voice of reason you just heard was
it's Toya vegan Mommania.
And as we always do here at Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths, we allow the guests to introduce themselves. So treat it like the first day of school, first day on the job. Tell us everything we don't know, what we should know, what we need to know, et cetera, et cetera. Whenever you're ready, the floor is yours.
Hi, y'all. I'm Lisa Raw. Nice to meet y'all.
It's like we've been knowing each other now.
Right. Yeah, thank you for having me on this wonderful show. I'm happy to be here. Hey, despite the technical difficulties in the beginning, but we good. We're here now.
It's all right. Hey, we grateful to have you. We're grateful to have you. So, first off, where'd you get the name Lisa Raw? I mean, Lisa, I've heard that name before, but Raw at the end. It's a reason that you put that at the end. What makes Lisa so raw?
It's my name.
Oh, that really is your last name?
It's my name.
Yeah, I figured that's dope.
That is dope. That's like Carrie Champion. I think that's her real last name from ESPN, or she used to be with ESPN.
I'll play with you. It is my name, but it's my name. But
okay.
She had me going. I was like, what?
Right. No, I'd be like, everybody's like, how'd you get that name? I said, well, I can't be born with the last name Raw. They're like, man, that's cold. But nah, actually, I got it. It's a short from my last name. It's shortened, but I used to do spoken word in my youthful years. I used to do a lot of poetry, and
sorry, we still there right now.
Yeah, so when I used to perform, everyone would be like, "Man, Lisa, you so raw," and that's really, and they're like, "Man, you Lisa Raw," and I was like,
"Lisa Raw, yeah."
Yeah, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna keep that and run with that because I had my full last name. I was just like, nah, we're gonna do it like this, and it's just been with me ever since. So it's I feel like it is my last name at this standpoint.
Okay.
Yeah,
that's what's up.
That's what it is right there. I like that.
What's the spoken word, like what is it about that interests you? Was it something that you did like since you were a child, or was it somebody that heard you talking one day and was like, hey, you should get into this? Like, what made you go that direction?
Well, a little bit of both. I started originally my career in the hospitality industry. But as a hobby, I always loved to write. Like just from a child, I love everything as a creator. So from drawing, writing, I used to write songs, but I played instruments. Mm-hmm. So writing to me was just always like a normal passion, reading. So naturally, just as any creator, you find something that will just help you, I guess, like your diary. I think a lot of women, females from, like, I could say this, a lot of my friends, and I know a lot of other ladies, when we were growing up, we have our journals or our Dear Diary, and it's, it was therapeutic. So I used to just write a lot. And at a point, I really thought I could be a rapper.
Right.
Right. I can't sing, but I was like, maybe I can drop a couple bars. So actually, it's funny though, in elementary, that's all I used to do, just like, during your recess breaks, you just, do your little 1, 2, 1, 2. But as I got into high school, I think you just gravitate to other writers, and it was therapeutic. So I used to do a lot of just open mics and perform. And it was just more or less like a hobby, but from that, it transitioned from me hosting, like from comedy shows or other events. And then actually, because of poetry, I was able to then migrate into where I'm at in my career. That was actually my real introduction to the industry, because then that migrated me to being a female MC on the mic, because I was just so comfortable with just being on stage and speaking or doing something that was, I guess, to break the tension and not have the fear factor.
Gotcha.
Right.
So that's what writing and the poetry first started with me, which is like still my baby to this day. I still enjoy writing.
Okay, that's what's up. That's good. It's good. Is there anywhere out there right now where we're able to experience that, to break some of the tension that we deal with on a daily basis? Or?
You know what? No, not as yet. But I am working on a book. So I'm actually writing my first book. And it's a combination, I will say, it's a combination of like a series. I'm writing a series book, but there are parts of it that has my poems in it too.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but you will have it soon.
Right,
there will be, but right now, no. There's no footage of me doing any poetry online.
Hey, well, we're gonna need exclusive copies of that book when it comes out.
One day, yes, for sure.
Thanks.
You guys will both have it.
Yeah.
So, I read in the Voyage MIA article where you had put you've experienced different trials and tribulations from personal to business, but you never lost your faith and dedication to your purpose. Only because I heard you use it, the phrase "break the tension." Is that something you always felt was your purpose? Breaking tension, like, because a lot of times people that are in your field, whether it be a creative in front of the camera, behind the camera, they were the ones when everybody was down in school, they was keeping everybody's spirits up. So I didn't know if it was always like that for you.
I think for any person that works in entertainment, you deal with a lot of pressure. We're all trying to build our portfolios, and you deal with real life situations too, whereas a lot of you have to do problem solving. I think my faith really just comes from, I'm Muslim, so I think a lot of my practices and my discipline comes from Islam, where it's such a disciplined religion.
Right.
And I've been able to implement that in my business. And I feel because of those daily practices that I have because of Islam, I've been able to grow and flourish in my business. Now, of course, we all have bad days, and, there's times when they're like, this sucks. And, that's like, and I think for anybody, pressure is probably the most, when you want to get something done, you just feel like you just can't do it because something's blocking you. I feel like you just have to also remember what your purpose is. And that's always going to just catapult you. But I use prayer. Obviously, God, to me, it's like my number one in anything that I do. And, but yeah, I mean, I guess I try to just remember what I'm here to do. Right. And that just helps me migrate through everything. And like, again, I said, we all gonna have bad days, but if you remember what your purpose is and what you stand on, I think you'll be all right.
Well,
and it's okay to also let go. Like, and I think, like, I'm just saying that to say, like, sometimes we as people were like, oh, I want this is what I need. And I need to get this done. But it's okay to also just reassess and be like, maybe it's not for you as well. So.
Gotcha.
Can you mention like the different adversities or the ups and downs that you've experienced in your business and life in general that maybe had to play into everything you had going on around you?
I think one of the biggest adversities for me, well, I'll start with a challenge. Let me say that one of the biggest challenges, and then I guess I'll go into the adversity part. Definitely the challenge was moving from another country and moving to here to the States about 5 years ago was a very big challenge. Just not having family or your family or childhood friends, and you just like literally you yourself in a suitcase and a carry-on and just figuring it out. I think that was one of the biggest challenges. In regards to business, I think when I say adversity, it's like, that's a good question, because I don't want to look at it as an adversity. I feel like death or something like detrimental is one of the the ones that like hangs you up. But I think definitely like as a female, independent, entrepreneur, it is challenging when you're not, familiar, and you have to build relationships and resources and try to figure things out from scratch. I think that's, it is difficult. We are coming in, and I think it's very, like, at the same time, like, I don't want to make it seem like a broken record when we say us women, we have to set the tone. You know what I'm saying? Because I feel like
that's real life.
It is, but I feel like at this point, it's like, I don't want to piggyback off of that. Like, right. I am a woman. You're right. Like, I get it.
You're no victim in this. We're not victims. You know what I'm saying? Even though those things may occur, we're still not a victim. Well, we don't want to claim being a victim of anything. You know what I mean? And especially I can hear that as a strong woman as you are. You'll look some shit in the eye.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you got a problem. Okay.
Yeah, like, what's up? Like, what we doing? And that's really what it is. I think, I think it's important to just like, I think strategy is like key to everything. Like, I say that like, it's not just for being a woman. I think it's just like for people in general. I think you just have to look at how to strategize and problem solve. I think like my father always, and because mind you, like, again, my father's like a Muslim man. And that was his teachings to me, is figure out what the problem is and then resolve it. So I think like there's an answer to everything in life. But I will say the biggest challenge was the initial step, coming here on my own and starting shit from scratch. But I think like, and the second part is maintaining and staying consistent. It's also a next thing. And I think you also have that pressure once sometimes you have like a very hot, maybe 6 months or a year or 2 years, you're just like boom, 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 and you're going. Yeah. And then you go through a drought, and then people are looking at you like, oh, what's she doing? What are you up to?
Right. And there goes the pressure.
Yeah. And then that's where I feel people can start building, the adversity is starting. What is she up to? She fell off, so those are the, but again, that's like that's real things. And, obviously money comes into play with those, but I feel like that is probably the biggest, like, how do you keep your momentum when things aren't going right?
Right. So you being from another country, where?
Toronto, Canada.
Toronto, Canada. Oh, you're lucky. Okay. I didn't
realize. Just like not done the gunshots.
I'm not the one. Yeah, that was a guy. Damn, you know what I mean?
Oh dang! I guess
I'm not the one to like act like I know about some shit I don't know about, but all I've ever heard was good shit. But I'd be like, can I cross the border? Like, motherfucker, me go, okay? Like,
tell him Lisa Roc.
Shit going on over there. Lord Jesus,
man, you're more than welcome. Come to Canada, come to Toronto. I know right now this is a very interesting year, but best believe next year, come in the summertime, like Carabana. Summertime is amazing in Toronto. Toronto's a dope city. I really believe we produce like a lot of geniuses in our little city town. I'm telling you, it's Toronto got some dope shit. Beautiful people, culture, food. It's amazing. Toronto's
like
dope.
Healthcare and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, shit you're just supposed to care about when it's your people that you take care. You know what I'm saying? I mean, from what I hear, I don't know. But
no, it's true. I remember when I first moved here, and just like I was just talking to my girlfriends the other day about this. Like, my birthday is this month, and every year I go for my physical. And I'm like, all right, when I first moved here, I'm like, I'm gonna go get just a regular physical. It's natural. You just want to check up on yourself.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I was like, this is my first time having to, let me get to know your medical, your system over here. My goodness, when they gave me a list of like, all right, well, what do you want done? And I have to check of like all the stuff, and they're like, it's gonna cost the things that I thought were standard, just normal, blood work, physical, like eyes, everything. No. Man, and when they gave me that bill, I was like, dang.
For the basics?
For the basics. And I was just like, if I was if I was a student, a single mom, a senior, I'm like, I don't know how you would survive.
Crazy.
And it's so.
How are we? I don't know.
Yeah, and it's sad for you to think about it, because then from that, it actually triggered me to take a little bit. I've always been healthy, and I'm gonna say I've always been active in my life. My father always made me go vegetarian half year for the first 6 months of the year when I was growing up. He's like, well, Islam, we don't need pork, but he's like, you need to clean your system. You need to fast a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
So when I moved here, I was like, you know what, I'm going to have to do a little bit more homework on the food and the system here. And I just couldn't believe it. I'm like, damn, and it's unfortunate, because that is why I feel like American society health is such at a bad condition, because you don't have the privilege of just wanting to go check yourself out at the doctor. And then the option that you have to eat it's like terrible. Of course, everyone's going to want to go to the dollar menu, because anything that seems to be healthy or you just don't know it, it's like, and it's, you become, it's sad. So I will say I do miss my healthcare.
Is it right? That's all I be thinking about when I think of Ken. I'm like, damn, y'all lucky as hell. Like, they love y'all for real. Like, I would love to be somewhere where they love us. Let me stop.
Right.
The taxes are different. The taxes are definitely different over there as well.
Yeah, but when you look at it in hindsight, yes, we do pay. Like in the city of Toronto, our tax is 13%. And I know in hindsight, just like, dang, that may be a lot. But in theory, when your education, like our public school education is probably is as good as a private school over here.
Thank you.
So
like, why not at that point?
Yeah, and if
we're getting the best, I mean, well, go ahead and take it. Okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, if I think anyone that has children or, you know, wants to continue their education, of course, why wouldn't you want to have the best of the best? And then you look at it in health wise, like, of course, like, hey, man, I don't feel good. I need help. And I think the good thing is because of that is where I feel when you see a medic here in the States, the first thing is prescription.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, let's sell you on something. You got to
fight with them.
Yeah. And whereas I feel in Canada is more like, let's really see what we could do or what the real issue is because they're not moved off the dollar.
I knew I was in the wrong place. I've been saying that shit forever. I swear, like, for when you said Canada, that was like the best shit I could ever hear. Like, I'm like, oh God, that's where it's at right there, man. Like, and I feel like that's a win-win situation because me personally, me and him are both vegan, and I'm huge on like food is like your life. So it's like, or your health is your life. So it's like you're eating good. Yeah, you living somewhere that's providing good food at a affordable, you know, price and stuff like that. And then you got a good education. Like, you're going to probably even be more powerful in the sense of getting money. So them taxes ain't going to fucking matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that's for sure in every household because I'm sure there's struggle everywhere. But still, like, I know it just got to be better numbers. It got to be. I mean,
no, for sure.
Providing the best, I mean, people are going to do their best. You know?
Right. No, and I agree. Like you said, it's like you are what you eat. At the end of the day, it's that helps you in your mind and how you feel, your spirit. Because I do remember there was times when I wouldn't eat any, and I remember this more or less like in the beginning stages, like of because I was vegan for a short period of my life, and then I would go back to being a pescatarian, or then I'll just have my turkey. I used to, you know, balance out my food and whatnot. But I remember when my dad used to make me. He's like, you got to be a vegetarian first. Right. And I remember I'd just be like, why?
I'm so hungry.
So what was the regimen? You said it was like your dad will make you be vegetarian for the first six months of the year?
For the 6 months of the year. Like I'd have to go veggie for the first 6 months of the year. But I had, but keep in mind, like on my father's side of the family, we have a lot of Muslims and, you know, we have Rastafarians on that end. And on my mother's side, a lot of Christians and Catholics, right?
Oh, okay.
So I was very diverse of learning different religions and practice culture. So in Rastafarian culture, it's all herbs, everything like natural, everything's plant-based, everything. Yeah. So on that end of the scale, is like I'm very privy to, you know, like what it is for your health and your spirit. And I remember when I used to do that, like I'm not eating no meat, no nothing. And then when I went back to eating meat, I remember I would have nightmares for the first week.
Oh.
And it was like, but I remember this particularly like when I was like, dang, I'm like that, because I remember feeling lighter and peaceful. But I promise you, that first week of when I used to go back to eating meat, because in my mind I'm like, oh my God, I want a chicken. I'm like, I want to have
getting chicken.
Yeah, and that's like the biggest thing. Like, how do you say no to chicken? Like, chicken, like a fried chicken. Like, yeah. So then I'm like, damn. But I remember that, and I was like, I would have nightmares or just a craving oxtail, anything like that, goat, like it was just like. But I remember I used to have nightmares for the first week.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but now I try to I still have a balanced diet.
Balance it now. Yeah.
Yeah. Like last year I was vegan for the full year, and then I went back to eating meat and so forth. But I would still have like, let's just say, I would practice for like 3 or 4 days of the week. I'm doing like a veggie diet, and then I'll still put my meat in there. So I don't know what that is. I'm very conscious of, like you said, you are what you eat. And I do believe that the meat has a lot of chemicals and a lot of things that we don't need in our system.
Yeah.
So I try to do my best.
You balancing it. I don't push that. I don't push that shit on nobody, to be real. I don't like go be vegan. I have 4 daughters for one.
Right.
So I practice that in my own home, not doing that. So I'm definitely not going to do that to other people. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just feel like it's a way, like I'm a cook, and they're getting like to the point where they don't even like certain meat now. They just naturally, you know what I'm saying? So I just cook it in a way, like bake it, you know what I mean? Or not overload on so much of this, you know? So I think it's just a balance with everything, because when I went into vegan, I went into a detox. I did a detox for 30 days, way too long, the way I was doing it. And I was sick. I was sick as hell. I got sick, and I had to like for real like nourish my body back, even though I was detoxing. But because you can really overdo anything, you know what I'm saying? That's the point. It doesn't matter how healthy it is or how bad it is. You got to balance everything. So that's all that matters.
We're growing up in a household where you said your pops was Muslim and your mom was Christian, right? If I heard you right.
Well, yeah, my parents weren't together, but
together.
So I would when I was with
back
my
and
father
forth for sure. Then
so it's a lot. But my mother, like, her family side is from Catholic and Christian. My mother was never really religious, but her family, that's their background. My father, though, completely like we Muslim, period.
Right,
like,
Gotcha.
they ain't even standing on Islam.
Walk in this door, that's what we do.
Gotcha. So with you being in the entertainment industry, right? How was that? Because you have some people who they may find themselves conflicted, with a lot of things that go on in the industry. You know what I'm saying, in regards to their faith. With people that are Muslim, but then you have some people where it's like they're able to see the nuance, you know what I'm saying, and not overthink it to where they feel like, oh, okay, I can't, be so engulfed in that culture. You know what I'm saying? I'm wondering, was your pops, was he, very supportive of you getting into the entertainment industry, or?
Well, that's a very good question. Very good question, by the way. So I'm gonna try to answer that in two parts. Okay. My father, in his regards to like Islam and his teachings and practices for me, was to always be on my deen and never put yourself in a position that jeopardize your integrity and your respect. So my dad always put that was number one. I'm a woman of this practice and his daughter. So I got to hold myself to a certain level. So that one, I think, was just growing up was very clear on how I requested to be treated. Right. And I'm very grateful that my father had passed away when I was about, I'm going to say like 25, when I was 25. No, it's okay. Thank you. But he, I will say, gave me those teachings as, from a little girl, that you hold yourself in a certain way. And, my dad, like, my father, like, I come from my father's a very strong Muslim man. So those practices are,
it's that healthy pressure. It's a healthy pressure.
Yeah, it's a healthy pressure. But it also reminds you to refine yourself. And then when you find yourself in situations where it's challenged or it's trying to jeopardize your teachings in life, to, take a moment to be like, realign it. So I will say with that, secondly, in regards to the entertainment, I think when I was about 16, 17, at that time, I didn't think I necessarily knew exactly what I wanted. At that time, I was a little bit all over the place. Again, I loved writing. I loved cooking, because it was just, I come from a very domestic family. So I was like, man, I want to have a restaurant. So my dad's like, all right, cool. Like, what we got to do? Like, I'm like, Dad, I want to be a boxer. All right, cool. We're going to put you in boxing, and we're going to put you in soccer. Like, my dad was always very supportive in encouraging me to figure out my lane. Once I started getting into the nightlife, the biggest one was don't drink. It was like, no, you don't drink. But
don't start that shit.
Right, but I think it's hard because you're coming from like Eastern, like, you come from like, my father's an Indian African man, so we have there's the Western culture and there's the Eastern, like the upbringing. So there's two different type of teachings in life. And I think like today I wake up every day and I try to watch some type of prayer, some type of scripture. And it was talking about happiness, and happiness is, people justify a lot of stuff. Be like, oh, they're happy. But then you also got to remember your happiness also, just because doing crack and they're happy when they're high off of that shit, but that don't make it right either.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? And then people use well because they're happy. It's
like it's okay.
It's okay when it's not. So I think you just have to be mindful of what you do at the end of the day. I got to put my head down on every pillow like everybody else. I got to lay my head down in my bed. And I think if I could sleep with it, and not feel ashamed of what I'm doing, it's okay. But I also have to be very mindful that, again, I'm coming from a strong teaching. So I got to be on point with that. So yeah, I would say my father was definitely always supportive what I did, but as long as I wasn't jeopardizing and, like my integrity, being and maintaining, like I'm a spitting image of him. And I think that was mainly it. And then, I mean, of course, we're humans, and I was young too. Of course, I made my mistakes in my life where I'm sure he wasn't too fond about, but hey man, I'm still standing today.
Right, exactly. And you are human, so everybody goes through something.
Right.
You coming over here five years ago, you said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Like, there's a lot that you've accomplished within those 5 years. All the way down from, you've been involved in helping put together the red carpet for the BET Awards, as well as PUMA events with Roc Nation. I've seen an event that you did, I think, with Bam from Miami Heat, PJ Tucker, things like that. These are, and even the American Black Film Festival and your relationship with headliner market group. So all of those different things, right? You have some people who might do what you do, who have started doing this maybe like 10 years ago, right? So if you wouldn't mind, just speak to how in 5 years you can come over here and then just hit the ground running. I mean, at this point, it's like you got wings, you flying. Like how just kind of, talk about how you were able to get as far as you've gotten in that short amount of time.
Well, first off, thank you. I really appreciate that.
You're
welcome. I think the biggest part to my speed of compared to probably somebody else was just I was very ambitious. It's because I had nothing here, like nothing stopping me. I had no children, no boyfriend, no family, just me, myself, and ambition. So I had no reason to. What am I wasting my time on? And because I think that dedication, I literally was like living and breathing, like I gotta be successful, I gotta work, I was so invested. To the point it low-key was an obsession to me of just like my ambition just to achieve certain stuff. But luckily I did a lot of my groundwork. It started from Toronto. Just, like I said, I started from doing the poetry. I ended up being a female MC in the club. And then from there, I stopped doing that. I started throwing the parties myself. So I built a lot of my groundwork in my city where, being a pioneer, being one of the top female promoters in my city, opening 2 after hours, doing things that was different and building relationships with other promoters all around the world as well. And I think those relationships helped me transcend over here, and I'm very appreciative to that because I do believe your relationships is a form of currency,
right?
And
for sure.
I think
facts,
and I think a lot, I think because of that, I've been very grateful and mindful of the friends that I've built along the way, and that's very resourceful. And I think, I used to say, man, you can't have problems if you have some really good friends in your side, and I think you just have to know who's in your circle or who appreciates your work. And that's where I've been able to, at least maneuver how I have been in Miami. And I'm grateful for Miami in itself for accepting me because, again, I'm not from here, but I've been able to produce some production and work with people that, of high caliber. And, I'm just really grateful for that. But I will say it's really my relationships that started from my groundwork in my city in Toronto. And then also just, just staying ambitious and staying with the focus of what I want to get done.
Right. And what do you say, what is it about yourself that makes you different or helps you gain this trust with the list of people that you work with in the industry? You know what I mean? Like, can you say about yourself with it?
I would say the trust started mainly because I always try to be, one, a lot of my jobs have always been based off of a referral because someone has worked with me or gone to an event of mine or experienced and had like I had a really great time at her
Like
function.
the word of mouth, right?
Yeah. And I always try to incorporate like good music, good people, great fashion. Like I always wanted people to feel like when you walked into something that I produced, it was a feeling. Right. It wasn't just like the show. It was a feeling like from like even when you walked into the room, did it smell good?
Right.
Like
yes.
Like, you know, it was the detail that I put into it. And again, these are things that started as a child. Like, you know, I have like 6 brothers and sisters. So it's like I come from a big family. I have a lot of god brothers and sisters, a lot of cousins. So it's the detail of, and maybe that's like, you know, my mother being very domesticated. Okay, well, let me cook. Let me see what makes you feel good. I love candles. I love the scent of aroma. Okay, the lighting. Man, you know what? That table needs to be fixed a certain way. It just doesn't look appealing. Like there's things that I would do to just make people feel versus it was just a party. And I think that that has been my biggest blessing, to give people that feeling of an experience. And then also obviously the fashion, I love fashion. So that's the next thing. It's like, of course, when you want to go somewhere and you feel like, man, every man gonna look fly. He gonna have fly. He gonna have a great cologne on. You know, the women are they're gonna be on point. Right. So you get excited. I wanted that feeling for every production that I could do. It's like that feeling when you was in high school and you're about to go to prom. Like that excitement. I always wanted to give people that excitement. So, I mean, a lot of my business came from referrals. And I find myself to be a fair businesswoman. And I try my best to, you know, maintain that. Obviously, that's not jeopardizing my integrity or my value. And, you know, that has been like one of my, like, I guess that's probably like the biggest key of it all.
Right.
Speaking of keys, you had hosted the BET Awards party with DJ Khaled. And then, you know, he's, you know, obviously with Roc Nation, and then you did the PUMA event with Roc Nation. Which one of those came first? And was that kind of a thing where, you know, from what you did there, is that how that came about? Like,
well, that's actually, so that story there is actually very interesting. Okay, so there's kind of 2 parts to that one. That event originally started, the BET red carpet event that I did. It was actually the first one I did was in 2017, and that was my 2-year mark in Miami. At that point, I was in the transition of staying with headliner or going independent.
Gotcha.
And the reason why, because like I said, I've been doing this nightlife for so many years. I didn't feel that I wanted to do like clubs anymore. I wanted to do the experience. Like I know these people. I've built relationships with artists, with management for so long. Let me do your album release. Hire me to do your like a single release, a dinner party, whatever the case is. But you know what? Matter of fact, I'm gonna throw you guys a production. I'm gonna show the city what it's about. So that was actually a 2-part. It was my birthday originally. I was going to do it in September of 2017, but then Hurricane Irma came. So then ironically, but the way things, you know, how God be, he was like, you know what, I'm going to give you BET. I was like, cool, I'm going to take it. So I was talking to actually Fat Joe, who I love, and I think he's an amazing mentor. And Fat Joe did a lot of great favors for me in my business. Shall I say, even stuff I did with Headliner. We did a documentary. He allowed me to conduct a lot of the interviews. He just always looked out for me. Yeah. So when I was telling Joe, I'm like, listen, man, I'm trying to do this BET event. And I'm like, but you know, I'm in the midst of trying to decide whether I want to stay as a promoter or go independent as an event planner. And Joe's like, leave mama what you need, baby. So I remember he was like, man, we're gonna do something dope. And his manager is a great friend of mine, Rich. And he was like, listen, Lee, he's like, whatever you need to get done, we're gonna make it work for you. So I end up booking Joe. And I would say Joe and Rich were one of the 2 people that put the extra battery on my back to say, you could do this. Because I think my fear was, and I was, of course, like, 1, I'm not from here. 2, I was, you know, under the umbrella of a big, massive company. So that, like, I already took a leap of faith, and now I got to take another leap of faith. Like, now really, really go by myself. you know, like, and then, you know, the hesitancy, or this would be the part of adversity. Like, does it look like I'm shitty on them or abusing their relationship? Will I look bad in the mix? Because then you start having your conscience play on you when it's like, man, but I just don't want to do nightlife anymore. I want to do productions. Like, I want to do something grand. So Joe was like, and Richie, they're like, they put the 2 battery in my back, and they're like, no, you could do this, man. We gonna help you. What you need from us? So I was like, listen, can you host it? And he was like, yeah. He's like, we can do that. I was like, oh, so I didn't even, like, I was like, I was shooting my shot. But you know, when you say something, I'm like, oh, and he was like, yeah, I got you. And he's like, we're going to make it dope. So he actually got Callie to show up. And then I got Zoe Dollars, which is like, I love Zoe. Obviously, he's here from Miami. And his manager, Dizzy, at the time, we just like, it's like my peoples. It's just like, you know, family. We grew a family base. And that's how the first production happened with that. So I will say my first BET red carpet event turned out to be a success because of certain parties, and they seen my work that I did with Headliner, and I guess the relationships I built. And then I was able to deal with one of the reps at BET that said, you know what, we'll make this exclusive. We'll cover the event. And then I was able to get gift bags. It was really cool, man. It was like, honestly, and then what made it even more special is because I chose a venue that people weren't accustomed to going to, just to kind of set the tone and the caliber, because I still wanted it to feel industry, but not like bourgeois, just more like, no, you know, you coming somewhere, you got to dress up. You know, you have to, it's a different tone. And the timing that I picked was, I'm like, you know, I'm going to do it from, I think that time, because I called my party, I called it 6 in the Garden. And I'm like, you know, I'm from Toronto. I was like, let me start this. Maybe I'll start this event at 6 p.m.
6 okay. Miami Garden. Okay.
Yeah. So I had this beautiful venue that I just decked out with floral decor, and it was gorgeous. It was in the Miami Design District. And again, I made sure, like, when you walked in, it smelled like the aroma was dope. The LED lighting, I had like certain details. I believe that first year I had it sponsored through, I'm gonna say Kavase might have been the sponsorship for that first year, and it was really beautiful. But I would say my favorite part to that was, I remember getting a phone call, maybe like 2 days before the event I won't say the person's name, but they called me and they're like, hey, Lisa, I'm just going to give you a heads up. There's another event happening the same time as yours. So they're like, and this person's been in the game for years. So I suggest you might as well pull the plug on yours. Like, cause it's not going to be a good look. And I remember taking that call. I was like, first off in my head, I'm like, this motherfucker.
Oh, I remember that. I remember. I was in Miami when that, I know what party you're talking. I'm joking. I'm getting you back from how you got me at the beginning with the Roz my real last name. I had to get you back.
Right.
Keep going though.
So, and I remember being like, well, you know, I'm like, I think that's really great that they got their own event happening. And I'm like, let the best man win. I'm like, let the best man win.
Right. I know that's right.
And let me hold, because God is good. Them same people came to my party because they shit got shut down.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, man, y'all welcome. Come on in. If y'all need a table, come on in.
Right. Really winners don't quit, baby. Winners don't quit.
But that's how that first BET event happened. And again, it was also like the inspo really started, if I were to retract, was because the usual annual BET events happen always in LA. The hip hop awards have always been in Atlanta. So going to LA a lot, I've had the privilege of knowing a lot of different promoters, and just like my Rolodex is really in the music entertainment industry. Mark Pitts does an amazing BET Sunday closeout party every year in LA. Like, maybe I want to say I don't know, this could have been, who knows how many years he's been doing his, but probably like top 5, one of the best parties I've ever been to. And I remember I was like, man, I gotta do that in Miami. I gotta have all the right people. And I like all the right people, and I don't want no ropes. I don't want none of that stuff. I just want everybody dressed up, whether you're an artist, an influencer, but I wanted to feel regal, and I wanted that Black excellence inside of the venue. And I just didn't want it to feel like, okay, celebrities on this side, clientele, regular. I didn't want that. I want we all together.
Exactly.
So watching Mark Pitts, attending a few of his events, I was like, man, this is amazing. And if anybody know Marcus is behind like a
You with
lot of
Diddy.
phenomenal arts. Yeah, he's like, he's that man's a magician. So, and then, then with Joe, and Rich were helping me with that. That's what I was able to get DJ Khaled, and, they extended a lot of help, I should say. They helped me out a lot.
And then the PUMA event that you did, how did that end up coming about?
PUMA, so now with Joe, because of my interviews and doing that with like Headliner, and then he's seen the event that I did. But a lot of my stuff when I was working with Headliner was doing Headliner TV, because I felt at that time, what can I add to this company that they don't have? They already got, their 2 weekly nights down to a science. Like, at this point, the only thing I could say is I'm gonna book a table, get my friends in, clientele in, but I didn't feel it was enough for myself. So I'm like, I'm gonna do the media department. And because of handling the content and creating that new lane, and, which helped me build more relationships, Joe was like, yo, I'm starting this. I think he had a podcast called Coca Visions at that time.
That.
Yeah, and it was on Tidal, and, he's managed through Roc Nation. And he's like, yo, Lee. Yeah, and he was like, yo, Lee, I need help. He's like, you good with the questions, you know how to do the interviews. He's like, this is new to me. Can you help me out? I was like, all right, bet. So I'm like, well, who's directing it? And he was like, man, I got the goat of them all, Eve Rivera. So I know Eve very well. Eve is like, I call him like Uncle Eve to me. And so when I went with Joe, with Rich and them and the whole production, I was just basically, that's how that relationship started, which then worked out with getting to know Emery, or Vegas, I guess Vegas Jones.
Yeah.
And he was the one, I guess, had seen like the productions that I had did, and seen that, like, even when they reach out, he's like, yo, and I guess like the relationship via Eve and this other individual named Chop and Joe, they were like, man, you need to know Lisa. She does some dope events, and like she got it going on. So I had spoke to Emery. He was like, yo, I want to do something in Miami. So it was so funny. I have this annual event called Gladiator Children. And the purpose of that, there was a point in my life where I was in foster care and group homes, just due to like my parents, and as shit happens in life.
Right.
So I think my whole purpose was, I think when you're a child, you don't understand your ability of strength that you have within you. And you are literally a fighting spirit if you hone into it. So I was like, you know what? I feel there's a lot of kids that are dealing with real life adversities, and and I think that's like at their young age point. I wanted to do something for them. So I said, I'm gonna do Gladiator Children, because I feel they have a spirit that are like warriors. Yeah. I had reached out to Emery, literally like via DM, and I used to DM everybody, J-Lo, Kim Kardashian, you name it, everybody. I'm like, listen, I have this thing I'm doing, and I want you to look at it. And I had put together this whole package, and I'm like, I think this would be really dope with PUMA. He actually responded. He's like, I got a production happening in Miami, and this was like sometime after. He was like, he's like, come by to the thing. So I had brought up a couple of the kids with me that I was like, looking out for. Yeah. I said, listen, y'all better put on your hustle face. You don't get this. And they're like, okay, Miss Lisa. So I had gone there with this little young boy from Overtown. He's like my little homie. I love him. He's like, I love him. He's like, I love this kid. But we had gone there. I'm like, listen, I said, you better, you know what I'm saying, do that talk. He's like, all right, I got you, Miss Lisa. So we was, Emery had seen the package I put together. I put a whole like a deck together. I had brought a couple of the kids through, and he was the one who was able to give me this contract with Roc Nation and basically PUMA basketball. And it was dealing with, because I do have like a background in sports and so forth. So I got another foundation involved with it, and I ended up looking out for 150 kids in the city of Miami. And PUMA basketball came in, and we just blew that shit out. It was really beautiful. Yeah. But that's really how it happened. It's like, it was never like, I would love to say that someone said, hire her, like she's the one, but it was more like you need to know her, and I just kind of, you know, I worked the relationship.
Emery, you know, being sentenced to 16 years in prison, and his story, which I'm pretty sure you know about, like I'm pretty sure he was touched to see what you was doing for those kids, you know what I'm saying? Because he's somebody that, you know, came home and bounced right back, made the most of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think it's like, and you know, like, and that was one of the conversations I had, because my father did 10 years in prison. So, so even to say that, it was like, I understand, like, you know, like what it is to have you know, to be dealing with a parent missing, or understanding, you know, things that could happen, and, you know, that you are out of your control too.
Sure.
So we did, you know, and so I'm just happy that I was able to nurture the relationship, and at least like put, like, there's one thing when someone says, yo, you should know somebody, but it's another thing when you could actually put the work behind it to prove it.
Yeah.
And not, because it's
putting
like,
yourself
you know,
in the door.
Right, because anybody could refer you, anybody be like, hey man, but if your friend come in late for that job, if your friend don't look appropriate for the job, if your friend drops the ball on the job, then what's the point of the referral?
Right.
Yeah. Damn, you I see why you got a book coming out. You been through a lot.
Yeah.
It's
all good though.
So with you being, you're so strong, you're hardworking, motivated, all this ambitious, all this, how are you balancing it with your personal world, your friends, love, family? Can you take us through that? Like, I always like to ask people how they balance and everything. You know what I'm saying? Especially me being a mom. So,
well, first off, beautiful that you're a mother of 4. That's
thank you.
All praises. You look like a baby.
No, I'm grown.
I'm not always strong. And I think it, like, I guess it's cool that it may come off like that, but I'm not. Like, I turn into a crybaby, and I
think we all do. But I think when I think strong, is I see someone that goes through everything that you know what I mean? All kind of stuff that we all go through as human,
right?
But then wake up the next day and you're still here. That's strong to me. It's strong as not a robot saying, you never felt anyway, you're just perfect. That's not, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I see what you done came through in this short time. And that's strong.
Thank you. Yeah, and I think it's just, I try my best. And like I said, there's times I don't have the answer to everything. There's times I made, like, I know that my misery is not the type of thing, or when I'm going through something, I don't like to really be around a lot of people. I just may lock myself up and just be in my house and just be like, boo-hoo, cry. There's times I'm like, I shut down. There's times I say I'm not doing no work. I think in the beginning of my career, because I was so focused, I gotta work, I gotta make money, I gotta work. I was like, and that was the robotic part. And not really taking care of myself personally. Like, I have great friends, but in my personal life, like my love life, I jeopardized a lot of it because of business. Where I know I should have been some paid man super wife at this point. Right. But I'm like, I'm there with integrity.
Right behind you, shit.
Right. So, you know, I made a lot of sacrifices because of the business, you know, and there's people that I've been like deeply, utterly in love with, where I felt like, man, my world could change with this person. And like, but I chose the business over a lot. And I think that took a toll for me in the past 2 years of my life, where I made the executive decision where I'm like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm taking more me time. And it hasn't been easy, but I'll say for the past 2 years, it's been, a lesson in itself that if you don't take care of your heart as much as you try to take care of your bank account, it's not gonna matter what you do. So it's not gonna matter what you do. So I'm like, recently I've made the decision. I'm like, this is probably, you know, we're like, yo, 2020 vision, 2020, you know, I remember praying for, let me say this, my birthday's September 20th. And I'm like, oh, I used to pray for September 20th, 2020. I'm like, that's going to be my multi-million-dollar champagne, all types of year. I'm like, I told myself all these things I'm going to have. And sometimes your vision could be a little blurry. But one of
Right.
the good things I would say that for specifically for this year, I said I'm going to take time to heal.
Yeah.
And in the process of healing is doing things that make me happy, like the stuff that used to make me happy when I was a kid. And so I actually deleted Instagram. I was like, I'm not on the gram no more because I felt I need to read more. Matter of fact, I remember I used to go to dance class. I used to be on a dance, man, I'm going to dance class now. Oh, I used to play steel pan. You know what? I'm going to buy me a steel pan. I'm going to start practicing and doing things like that and make me happy. And now it's like, turning to take my business and putting my business on, not all the way on pause, but it's more I'm putting myself as a priority versus the other way around.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I think it's like you need to have that, because I'm telling you, you're gonna kick yourself in the ass, because you could have all the money in the world, but if you ain't got nobody to share it with.
Yeah. I like for people to express themselves in a real way, with no matter where they're at in life, how far, or if they're starting, because I always want people to remember when they speak to me or they watch this show that we all going through this shit together. So that's why I was like, I want to take that time always. So when someone's watching, like, yeah, you can see someone so successful, shit, and have to, you know what I'm saying, and learn go back to the basics.
You have to. You truly have to.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you know, it's good, I think, that you asked that question, because I think a lot of women or people in general, they feel like, oh, you got to be strong. No, you ain't got to it's okay to cry. I don't
much.
Yeah, it's
social
okay
media just like, just go get a bean, go get that bag, go. I'm like, bitch, shut, please, Lord.
Yeah.
God damn, I'm trying to find a smoothie. Hold on, fuck, like for to eat in the morning. Like, what the fuck? I gotta get a Benz today. Like, shit, you know. So,
but and it's unfortunate that it desensitizes people from expression. Like, I feel that, you know, women have been wearing a hat to be more dominant than men have.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's like, you know, and by all means, real men are back in style, but you know, it's unfortunately, you know, I feel that there are a representation of both men and like male and female that are just kind of like, what are you guys doing? But unfortunately, I do see a higher amount of men that aren't owning their king.
No. Mm-mm.
And I think, you know, when men need to understand that, you know, knowledge is key, and how you treat a woman, and how you, even if she's not your woman, how you treat a woman.
Right.
You know, and especially if you are with somebody, like, she is a reflection of you. And, you know,
you tweeted that before.
Yeah. Like she is a reflection of you. So it's like, I think people it's sad, because, you know, I like the men that I would love to attract in my life, or to say that I've had the, you know, the greatness of having, it's like strong. Like my identity of what I picture a man to be is like, my father was a strong man, but that didn't mean he was a insensitive man either.
Yeah.
You feel me? Like, I was still his daughter. Like, he made me into his, like, whether, you know, I did stuff that he wished he had a son, it didn't matter. Like, he still made me, he still treated me like his daughter. He was very sensitive that I was a girl. He was very sensitive I was growing up to become a woman. So I feel like men need to hone into acknowledging that and setting a tone, because I think the power that a man has, even though I feel women have the ultimate power,
of course, but there's
a level I feel men need to understand, that I feel if a man says, listen, baby, hold up now, a woman's supposed to be like this, and there was more of that encouragement, I think the shift of women that are unguided would completely disappear.
Oh, for sure. Because I tell people this all the time. You know, we're strong, we might be independent, whatever. But at the end of the day, I think it's a natural thing for women to want to listen to the man. Of course. Like, I don't know why people like not understand that. Like, we actually want to do that. You know what I'm saying? So, like, even for myself in my life situations, I had to take back my life for the men that I did choose, and my fathers. And now I'm like I'm damn man, dad, mom. I'm like God damn, y'all fuck this shit up. And I had to take over the whole fucking boat, take the wheel. And I'm like, shit, you know what I'm saying? And it was over because I tried to give that to a man. Like, guide us the right way. And I seen they were fucking about to wreck us. And I was like, fuck, let me all right, I got it. But, you know, and it's just ridiculous. And I think it has a huge huge part of why things are so confused in the way they are. And
where do
sorry, Alex, no nothing to you. You know?
No. I love the conversation.
You're a great man, Alex. I love
No, I put it like this. I used to go to the mall with my mom, my auntie, and my sister and my cousin, and like I would be sitting with them for hours, and I would hear a lot of those conversations when I was small. So I remember being like, you know what I'm saying, in high school where girls were saying stuff and like homeboys not understanding. I'd be like, oh, I kind of understand them because like I heard my mom and my auntie or my cousin I'm talking about that. So, but I love to see, where do y'all feel that comes from as far as where men don't know, you know, how to treat women, how to respect them, how to, you know, to be strong for them when they need to, and all these different things. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't think anybody is born that way. You know,
I think it's a passed down misguidance.
Yeah, I agree. I feel a little bit of both, but I think a lot of men don't know how to be men because they didn't have a man in their life to teach.
That's what I mean by that. Exactly that. Okay. That's exactly what I mean. It's passed down for sure.
Yeah. Like, cause some men don't understand that a woman's supposed to walk on the inside of the road. Some men don't understand that just naturally opening the door for her.
That's so crazy because that's like no bullshit. Like going to sleep, I'm like, okay, I gotta sleep on a certain side of the bed. I gotta be the closest to the door.
Right.
Like all type of shit that.
It's weird because all those things we're mentioning, I do that with my kids. Like, those are all the little things I do with my daughters. Like for real, I am.
And sometimes my girl be like, I'm not your kid, but at the time in my mind, I'd be like, I be feeling like that.
Protecting you though.
No, but
I feel like I'm supposed to do that. But that's how I'm like, but it's how, you know, I've seen my pops, you know what I'm saying, do certain shit. So I'm like, okay, well, this must be the way I should do certain things. So now that y'all saying that, it makes sense.
Yeah, because not a lot of men see that at all, you know. So
but the world, you know what I'm saying, I think can get a hold of some men because the world, we got a hold of my pops at different times and things like that. And I guess it just takes, you know, men just to be strong and you know, hold their ground, stand 10 toes down, regardless of what's coming their way. And that was going to lead to my next question with you, Lisa. So, like, you being in this industry, like you said, you feel by this time you should have been some rich man's super wife. And we actually see things like that happen in this industry where there's a man that, you know, has a certain type of, you know, stature, whether it be through money, whatever you want to call success. And they will call these couples power couples. How do you handle that when you're doing these events and you're around all these different men and they approach you? You know what I'm saying? Like, how does that work for you where it might be like, damn, okay, this is supposed to be just business, but I see this is somebody that kind of wants to be with me for it to be a little
I've got some good questions, man.
Oh, for sure.
There's two things. I remember when I first started being single, perceived as single was an asset because then everybody wants to flock to you, and it's kind of like, it's like, you know, come on kids to the candy, like I got you, let me lure you in, and at that time it was more like, okay, y'all gonna spend the money, go ahead, y'all want my attention, buy some bottles, like I used to, you know, at that time, I'm saying, and this is more like and you know, unfortunately, that was because I was looking on a dollar amount and just whatever. I wasn't looking at it in like an integrity perspective. That's just more like, this is my business.
Right.
As I've gotten older and obviously more mature, I feel that a female, unfortunately, in this entertainment industry, if she is not married, if she's not coupled or powered up, she's now viewed as a liability or weakness, versus how before in my younger days I would be an asset. If that makes sense. So like it has shifted.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it shifted where it's like, well, why aren't you married? Why don't you have this? And so these are things, and also it plays with your, oh dang, why aren't I? Like, is it really?
Like, listen, that's why I'm on time today. Shit, what the hell you mean? Like, that shit.
People projecting, you know,
that's all that is. That's projecting right there.
Yeah, and you know, so it made me think at a point like, damn, and I'm like, the whole time I was just focused on work and just being successful at my business. I didn't want to intertwine personal and, you know, like I never wanted, I just always felt like I had to hone in on business. And I think that's the misconception of, you know, because as a female, it's like, oh, well, then if I got pregnant, I can't do this, or you think you can't do this, or if I'm in a relationship, he's not gonna feel comfortable if I'm around this guy because he has more money. So you start having all that
now, right?
Yeah, you go through all these things where it's like, dang, maybe it's just best I stay single and I just do whatever the hell I want and whatever.
That's where I'm at.
Yeah.
My co-host hates me when I get on here talking that shit. Like, who finna do what? Like, tell me what to do.
Right. But yeah, no, I've definitely had my chance of, like, I could have been in some really good relationships in my time. Now I don't think, you know, I've shifted my career from events to mainly doing management now, just in lieu of everything that has transpired in life with this pandemic. But I will say, yeah, it's been times where it's like you definitely feel like people make you feel uncomfortable too. They're trying to like overstep, like, hey, I'm just here to do a job. Calm down. And you know, other times it could be flattering. But again, I'm at this phase of my life, it's more like, what's your intention, sir? Which you try, because the type of man is like, when he sees me as his wife. It's not the intent. I need to know someone's intentions versus before it'd be like, oh, what you got for me? You going to dinner?
Right.
Yeah.
For real.
Yeah, so me and Toya we was talking. We had an episode where we were literally, there was a question of, you know, how soon is too soon to talk to someone about like marriage and children and how much they make and stuff like that. And I was telling Toya, I was like, I feel people should have those conversations as early as possible, like right away, just to figure it out, because you don't want to end up getting too involved, you know what I'm saying, to the point where the intolerable becomes tolerable. And it's like, fuck, you know, now I care, I love you now. Now it's like, shit, like, no, I'm not a fan of that. I'm not okay with that, but it's too late now. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. No, you should just get the elephant out of the room. Like, why would you want to be with someone who doesn't want to have children? And you want to have children. Why would you want to be with somebody, let's just say, if their moral integrities are completely opposite than yours?
Mm-hmm.
You get what I'm saying? Like, what's the point? Like, if somebody could look good, and that's the thing about, like, I guess, like, the level of maturity and growth. I remember younger, I used to be like, man, he gotta look like this. He gotta be like, he gotta have this. He gotta be this certain height. And I'm like, hell nah. It's like the men that I've been in love with don't look nothing like what I thought I wanted in life. I was tripping.
Like, so much for my psychic abilities.
You know?
Oh, that went out though, yeah.
Man.
So like with you being in managing, and this is something more new for you, right? Like,
correct. So I started management. I started picking up management about October, November of last year.
Okay.
2019. And I started managing, ironically, because just life is, I used to pray to say that I wanted to work with only a female artist when it comes to events. But I felt like I was, you know, because of the challenge of being a female event producer, you know, and having my company, and like I have to manage so much. And sometimes when you deal with male clients, they overstep.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I don't got to deal with that if I got to deal with a woman, because she ain't going to try to, I mean, she could, but I don't.
They got other stuff.
Yeah, I'm like, it's like, I don't got to deal with the, yo, so, you know, once this project is done, what you think, like, I don't, sir.
I'm changing my number after this project.
I'm here to do my job. So I was actually praying for the longest time. I was like, man, I want to work with a female artist so badly. So last year, September, I was at that time dealing with Melly,
who's under the big umbrella?
Umbrella Interscope, yeah. So you know, Melly's dope. She's a Dominican artist from Harlem, New York, and she's just like crazy. Like she's, you know, she's like she raps.
All the energy.
Yeah, she's dope. The Spanish and English, like she's fire. So me and her were working last year, and I was just like, man, listen, I'm gonna get you in the studio with some other producers, and because I feel like you need a hit, like something that's gonna knock your shit out the park, because that's the band I want to produce. So if I gotta merge you with X, Y, and Z to connect the dots, like, and this is kind of like, in a sense, I was trying to do, like, not that I wanted to do A&R, or not that I wanted even to do half of the shit that I was doing, but I think as a business person, as an entrepreneur, you gotta be okay with putting on multiple hats.
Right.
If you gotta be the janitor, you gotta be the janitor. Okay. If you gotta be the camera person, you gotta be the camera person. Right. I remember, like, growing up, it was like, oh, you know, jack of all trades, master of none. They're like, they always focus on one thing. And I remember that was like a thing in school. They're like, only you're supposed to do one thing. But I'm like, no, you need to be versatile, because if you don't know how to be in this day and age, you turn into a liability in your business. So last year at that time, I'm just more focusing on the music aspect, because I really wanted to work so hard with Melly to be her female event director. Like I wanted to do whatever production she wanted, whether it was a fashion show, album, birthday, it didn't matter, dinner, her mama's thing, it didn't matter. My whole point was, you need a big song so we can get that money to get X, Y, and Z going. Right. But I had brought her to Atlanta, and I had met this female director at the time. Her name is Des Gray, and it was very preliminary, just like, again, just around the fashion industry and just certain people we had connected dots with. And she's like, listen, I'm like, I might have a production in Miami. If I need help with something, I said, for sure, hit me up, because I got vendors. I'll let you know for your production. And from there, we just grew, and it was just very organic. And she liked the way I handled my business. And she's like, can you manage me? And I feel like artists know who they want to represent them. And, you know, the funny thing in my mind, I kept praying to God, I'm like, I want to work with a female artist. Never did I know it was going to be a female director, but she's an artist. Yeah. And the way it worked, I was like, you know what? This is actually dope. And it ends up being really cool, because even though like I'm her business manager on video sets, I still do the sense of like a production, because if we need to do something in the arts or whatever the case is. But because I'm also visually inclined and I have the history of the media, content, and shooting, we work so well with one another. Right. So Des and I have been working since last year. I'm gonna say like just for safe value, let's just say like November 2019. And we actually are gonna be shooting Melly's video next week in Miami. Awesome. So it comes in full circle. So yeah, and I manage her, and I also manage another female artist. She's a Latin English American artist, Veronica Vega. Super dope. She's in the transition of, you know, rebranding herself and being independent. So it's cool though. So it's been very interesting. Management is like, you like the mom, the big sis, the security.
I heard like with that, like, you know, sometimes you have to put the artist before yourself. Do you ever feel that way? Like with the managing?
At times, like, I mean, I think at times you have to, it's a lot of time management. But I think just because of an event, I come from the event world in production, I've been able to be very organized with my time.
You're able to multitask. You're like, okay.
So if I didn't have that as my background, then I probably would be dropping the ball on here. Okay. But because I have to be so in production world, you have to be like, all right, this is coming in at this time. You got to do this. Like, we're so scheduled, and it's kind of like, in business and in management, I got to be able to be like, all right, this is her time, this is my time, this is what's going on between here. Right.
Yeah. So your background and what you was already building prepared you for this. So you're like, okay, I know exactly how to do that.
Right. And I'm still learning. Like,
everything's not perfect, but it's still, because some people come in just in and be like, I want to be a manager, you know, just start trying to learn some shit.
No, I definitely picked up the phone and I called a lot of my peers that I've known that I've worked with, I guess, like from me being an event producer, and I was just like, hey, I'm about to be a manager. Right. Y'all got some keys for me? And they're like, They're like, nigga, you about to lose your motherfucking mind.
They're like, do you know what you getting into?
That's so funny. You about to lose your motherfucking mind.
And they be like, man, when you be all right.
Right. That's why I was trying to I was trying to be soft about it. Like, are you okay? Just blink twice if you.
But no, I definitely called a few of my peers in the game that I felt like, you know, represented a lot of great people, and I was just like, man, give me some gems. What I gotta do? Right. They're like, just breathe. Just don't win to woosah. I was like, all right.
Do you mind speaking on some of those peers who have been helpful to you and giving you just some advice? You don't have to necessarily give the details of the advice. Was it somebody that you've been able to lean on? Because it seems like Joe was somebody you could lean on in the facet when you were just focusing on only the events, but as far as management, because you took it further than just managing Melly and Veronica, you actually have LR management. So, you know, I was wondering who is this kind of been in your ear to kind of help steer you in the right direction with this.
Right. Well, I wasn't managing Melly. I was just working with her just to
working with her. My bad.
Yeah. But as far as management wise for the LR brand events, I did call Arande Garrett, who represents Idris Alba, Jesse Williams. So he was like, Arande's super dope. I called Nigel Talley. He does. He works with a lot of artists he's been working in the years for. He's under like that whole New York of whether you want to affiliate him with the Mark Pitts or whether you want to affiliate him with the Puff or the street life of, hardcore rap. Nah, very like there's Nigel. Actually is ironically when I started in Headliner 2, Miss Nikki, who she does like the Humans Resource. She did Luke and Trick Daddy, and I guess just come under her tutelage. Mm-hmm. When I was started in Headliner, how she was very organized and on point, and how she would correct me on always have paper trail, always do this. Mm-hmm. And not that, again, because at that time I had nothing. I wasn't even thinking of management at all. I was just thinking about like I got a job and I'm here. Let me secure it. But it's just how she handled her business, and she was very direct and clear. And I'm very keen now. Like first off, you can't reach me unless you send me an email. Period.
Right. Right.
When people are like, "Oh, can I get your number?" Nah, here's my email, because I make it a point, and I will say I definitely adopted that, and grateful of Miss Nikki that she definitely showed me certain like fundamentals of how to conduct business and being on point. So there's a few people I've called, but those are like the three that really.
That's what's up. With Veronica Vega, she had the track "A Million" featuring Quavo.
Yeah.
How, if you wouldn't mind speaking to that, how you're able to put that together with her being independent, So
at that time, Vega was still under her label, Zone 4, but I was doing her production. So I had known Vega as like, being as an event planner and my stuff. So at that time I did her video release party, and I just did this whole event for her at the Soho House. I'm going to say that was last year, August. But we had known each other for a few years. But I guess her knowing me and us building that relationship in production world, and her seeing how I've handled the business and getting shit done. Like, like that's the best way to say, just got to get it done, figure it out, get it done. Build the strength in our foundation, where she was able to say, I'm going independent and I would love for you to, be this person for me. And I was just like, it made sense, because I guess there was that comfort of she could already rely that she would be able to walk into something and have a smile on her face and walk out also. So I think, in business, it made sense too, where she was like, all right, well, at least I know that you're professional. I know you were able to do this. So that's really the transition from that point. But when she did that record with Quavo, that was through her label at the time. But I came into play doing the production end.
Okay. Who are your go-to producers that you deal with?
Go-to in events, or are we talking about?
Well, I mean, with the music, because Polo obviously at Zone 4 was, somebody that she had access to.
Right. So my go-to music producers, obviously, I'm gonna keep it at home. So I'm gonna say Boy Wonder. I'm gonna say 1985. These are my friends from high school.
Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I think another dope producer that I really love, he's out here in Miami too. Super Dupes. I think he's amazing. Chinese Jamaican man, super hard. Like, I love it. He's just, that's just like the rhythms. Like, you're always gonna catch nice rhythms from him.
Yeah.
Another dope music producer. Oh dang, there's so many. I'm just gonna say those three, but because I don't want them to be like, why did you say me?
But we're going to high school with Boy Wonder. Did you see that in him back then as a producer? Obviously people know about the production that he's done with Drake, but even beyond the production he's done for Drake, he's done so many more like classics, for other people. That's why he's one of the younger people that are able to do a versus. I remember when they announced it, people were like, how can Boy Wonder and Hit Boy? I'm like, oh, he has a catalog. You know what I'm saying?
He has a catalog.
Did you see that back then?
Yeah, I think it's funny though, because when you're kids and you're in high school days, mind you, there was 3 different high schools that were all like in the same vicinity. So he had So 1985 went to one, I went to the other, and Matthew Boy Wonder went to, like, there's 3 high schools in our town. And back then, like, I remember he would just be the kid that would just stay home and be in his basement and just work on beats. He was very, like, just work on beats. So at that time, you don't really think your friends are going to be huge superstars. Like, they're just like, oh, that's the homie. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's like even the same thing like my god brothers, like at the time they played ball, no one would have probably, it's a dream to be that. It's what you anticipate, but when you actually see it flourish, it's kind of like, dang, man, all the years you in the basement, look at that, look at it paid off. But yeah, I mean, at that time, we were just kids. Like, everybody was just passionate and focused on their dreams and whatever aspirations they had. Like, people were writing, people were singing, people were making beats, and shit, people were fighting.
Like, so, now just hanging out, really.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We was at the corner store getting a little beef patty and cocoa bread. Let me get some ketchup on that.
It's like I knew you before you was landing all these big placements.
Right.
That's what's up.
We was running around, man.
Wait, that's crazy. So now I'm thinking about it. Okay, so you coming from Toronto and Miami. That's like when Drake signed with Young Money, Cash Money, Universal. They were kind of based in Miami at that time. Did y'all happen to cross paths at all?
No, I wasn't actually at that time. I wasn't in the States, but I remember.
Oh, that's right, because that was 2010.
Yeah, I was booming in Toronto. Then I wasn't even thinking about Miami. I was just like, y'all gotta come to my shit. Miami. But they were doing a lot. I know. They were really in Miami at that time, because I remember there was a point. It was like everybody's Instagram had 416 and 305 as the area code. But I was like, I wasn't even thinking of Miami. I used to come every once in a while just to come to a party, just on whatever it was, a weekend, or you take a little trip. But I was very happy at home at that time. I was like, I was not thinking of nothing.
Are you looking to build your management roster, or is it one of those things where you kind of want to stick with what you have throughout the end? Because some people are like, hey, this is what I want to start with, and I'm gonna compound it from here. I don't know.
That's a good question. I've been asked that a few times, like, would I extend it and look at managing more clients? And a few people have asked me this throughout my time. I've always honestly said no, I wasn't going to do it. And I don't think I am. I think I'm very content with the 2 artists that I have, because I think I still have my own personal aspirations for myself, like this new chapter in my life I feel like I'm starting a new beginning. When they say, what's your 5-year goal? I feel like I achieved my 5-year goal within 3 years when I came here. Yeah. Okay. Like, and I know I could say that's my pom-poms. Like I said, like, I did it. I executed. It, came here with a vision. I think I'm starting a whole new 5-year goal for myself. And I think with that being said, I have to be fair to the woman I am. To you. Yeah, so the things that I've learned, the things that I've like sacrificed and lost out of, that I need to have my time. I need to have my own passion time, and I need to have also the business end of scale to make sure everybody stays afloat. So I'm good with the 2.
Right.
Only because I heard you mention the thing with the woman, the person that handles things for Idris Elba. It reminded me, you actually put together the American Black Film Festival as well, and you did something with Gabrielle Union with her book tour. Am I right?
Yeah, I did. That was again, that was like another referral that her event director had reached out to me because they wanted to do one in Miami, and we joined forces to collaborate in production. So it was cool. Yeah. So Arande, he's for the ABFF. I did something for them on that end, and we still maintained relationships. And he actually had like this amazing, at that time, it was one of their assistants, Dion Jones, who's done phenomenal work in the industry. And he's like catapulted where he's at now in his career. But yeah, so everything kind of, like I said, a lot of my business has been based off of a referral or a word of mouth, to be like, you need to know Lisa, whatever you need to get done. Like, she's the go-to. Like, and I've always been, I guess that's been my hat. Like, you need to get something done, talk to Lisa. Lisa gonna get it done for you. So that's how the Gabrielle Union came into play. But I think that happened before ABFF, if I'm not mistaken. I think so. That's what it was.
Keenan and Ivory, I think this is up with ABFF too, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably, yeah. But but my relationship again was with the Deion Jones and Arande that was able to do like Jesse Williams thing to be a part. Yeah.
That's powerful. I mean, because with us being able to tell our stories, it doesn't happen as often as it should.
Right.
We were looking at a post earlier. I think it was from LA. I'm getting the name. It's a rapper from LA. He's independent, very successful. It's on the top of my head. But anyway, it's been going viral today where Vince Staples was actually speaking about, like, with us in the Black community, a lot of times we feel like we are forced to sell the trauma, like a lot of the slave movies, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a matter of it's so excessive. It's like, when can you see some of the other stories that we want to tell? And it's like, we don't really get those opportunities. So I'm actually an actor myself. I'm definitely a fan of what you did with that. I was like, wow, she's involved with the American Black Film Festival. This is something that, as a talent, definitely extend my respect for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I hope, my event producer, production director hat can come back on. I don't know where we're at with events in lieu to everything what's going on with the nature of the world now. I don't think events will ever be the same. So probably, like, from what I was told, August 2021, we're shut off.
Yeah.
But I hopefully one day I'll return to it. But I think right now I'm trying to, if it makes sense, I'll by all means I would love to do another production. But right now I think it's best for Lisa Raw at this point is to focus on the grown Lisa and do some other stuff. Yeah.
Right. Your last tweet said sometimes you got to take a step back and take 10 steps forward. So that makes sense.
Yeah, you got to go off the grid sometimes to be appreciated. It's actually a part. Yeah, this if you read 48 Laws of Power, absence will gain you more respect. And it will your equity will go up. So I was, it's when I deleted Instagram, I started reading a bunch of books, and The Four Agreements was one of them. I read this other book with Abraham Hicks. I thought it was really good.
The Basis of the Teachings.
Yes. So that was, I believe that's one of the books. And then also I started to get into the 48 Laws of Power. And I was just thinking about, because I write, and I think it's important, sometimes right now, I think we're always trying to prove something to other people. And sometimes we're like, who are these people that we got to prove ourselves to?
Right.
Who are you? And I think right now for myself in business, I just want to be able to be at peace and find a level of confidence of a newfound business for myself. Like, I really want to be like, all right, this is my new project. This is my new baby. I'm going to dedicate to her, and I'm going to make this motherfucker grow. Like, and that's that's what I really want. But, I can't do that with events no more. So it's like, you know what? It's time for a new page.
Gotcha.
Right.
Well, we thank you so much for taking the time out to sit with us today and just share your story until the book comes out. Something we ask everybody to do here at Pretty Lies and Ugly Truths is shout out the 5 people that play the biggest part in what we see from them, because they know, they say we're some of the 5 people that we are around or communicate with the most. So it doesn't have to be in order. If you wouldn't mind shouting out those 5 people in your life.
5 people in my life, or 5 people do I love?
Okay. Well, I mean,
there's people that have inspired me, because I feel played a big key in my life. But I'll give you 5 people, a little bit of both.
Okay, that's fair.
Nina Simone, I think she's amazing. I think what she did was key. I'm going to say, obviously, my mother, my father. 2 other people. Kobe Bryant.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Oh, you hit Alex with that one.
Yeah, I think he was an amazing, dedicated athlete.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Legendary.
Mm-hmm.
Great father. Great
father, all around. Yeah, I really like the way he had his life. And Nina Simone, Kobe Bryant. I'm gonna put my parents in one. Lisa Rod. Okay, but this person I want. Yeah. And God.
Nice. I like that. I like that.
There you go.
That's a nice
and I forgot to ask, did you have something to do with the Baby's My Way video?
The Baby My Way video.
You posted behind the scenes picture with that, or video with that.
With
him and B. Simone.
B. Simone. So Des Gray, the director I manage, she has a production company called Foreign Made Films. We had the staff underneath there was conducting the BTS.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see you be everywhere. So
I'm somewhere affiliated, but it wasn't Lisa Raw directly. But I'm a part of the umbrella tree.
Yeah.
Well, we let every guest close it out by shouting out their hashtags, @signs.coms, websites, whatever. Anywhere people can get in contact with you to spend money or invest in anything you got going on.
Okay. Well, first off, thank you, Toya. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate you guys for having me on the show. I think you guys did phenomenal. Thank you for this interview. Thank you for emailing me.
Right.
Shout out to Diaz.
Right.
With the plan.
In regards to following me, I mean, the only Instagram page I have running right now is at LR Brand and Events. Lisa Raw is no longer up as yet, but she'll be back at some point. Right. But if you can reach me at info@lisaraw.com. Find me on Twitter. Again, I'm really off the grid, but
right.
Yeah, but like I said, I'm like Jay-Z. You can't get my number, but you can email me, baby.
Right.
But thank you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, especially you being off the grid right now. We are lucky. We're blessed.
You know what? But no, I appreciate it. I was like, you know what? Let me do a little preview for y'all.
I like that.
Thank you for having me on Pretty Lies and Ugly Truth. I really love it. I think you guys are doing amazing, and I look forward to seeing more.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate that.
All right.
Be blessed.
Peace.